USCHO.com. This is the USCHO Spotlight, a weekly podcast from U.S. College Hockey Online at USCHO.com, featuring conversations with college hockey coaches and players and journalists who cover the sport.
Welcome to USCHO Spotlight. I'm Ed Trefzger alongside Jim Connelly. This time of year, as college hockey gets to the semester break, all eyes on amateur hockey in the U.S. and, in fact, around the world turn to the World Juniors Championship.
And as we continue to preview the World Junior Championship, Team USA, their head coach, Scott Sandelin, also the coach at Minnesota Duluth. But Scotty, you join us now kind of as an American, wearing the American flag and all of that good stuff. What does it mean to just be able to coach this team? I know you've done it before. I know you've been an assistant a couple of times. You played on this team a long time ago. But what does it mean to be able to just, coach this team?
Well, again, I think like even players when they represent, it's a great honor. I mean, obviously, it's a great opportunity. It's great that I've been able to be, and again, very fortunate to have been a part of it before. And I think you'll learn along the way. So I feel a little bit better about being a head coach in 2019-20 than I did in 2005. So a little bit more maybe prepared and a little bit more experience certainly helps that.
Your roster announced yesterday, at least preliminary roster. I know there's still maybe cuts that have to be made. But when you look at the roster top to bottom, what do you like? What do you feel is maybe the identity you can pull from this team in terms of the players that you're going to bring into camp in a couple of weeks and then take on to the tournament?
Well, I think it's a really good mix. I mean, again, you look at we've got a lot of really talented young players. We've got some older guys too that have talent. I think balance. I think we're going to have some really good balance. I certainly like the back end. I think will be probably a little bit older as far as the age, and I like the fact that there's a good mixture back there too of defenders and puck movers, and I think guys can get around the rink, and obviously goaltending. Feel very comfortable with our goalies, and the way Spencer's playing right now too is a good sign for us because obviously he's kind of the lead dog, But I like the fact Dustin Wolf and Isaiah have played well in the first half, and so again, you need depth there, and I think we're going to have that throughout our team. And although there might be some youth. But I think that's good too. I think there's some very talented players, and we saw that this summer. And I was very encouraged by the way the camp went, and as the week went on, how we finished the camp, and got a little better feel for some guys too through the summer.
I'm going to ask you, Scotty, about the process. And obviously you see some of these guys in the summer, then there's a lot of games that they play, whether at the junior level or at the collegiate level, in between the camp that you operate then and when you have to pick your team. But I know that it's not all on you. You have John Van Beesbrook with you doing a lot of it. But how is it done? How is the process moved along for you? And what do you like about it? What do you enjoy about seeing these guys so many times throughout the season?
I mean, I think probably leading up to the summer camp, obviously there's discussions, and you're relying on people too that have seen some of those guys. So I mean, you obviously have a lot of discussions on to which 44 are we going to bring to camp. Obviously this year there were some guys that were supposed to attend that couldn't because of either off-season injuries and development camp stuff. So there's a few of those guys, like Master Simone was supposed to be at camp, and Regula was supposed to be at camp, and those guys were injured, and those things happen. So you bring some different guys, but it's good to get a look at a lot of guys. And it seems every year too, there's some players that maybe you're hoping that maybe weren't at camp. I can remember Scott Rudovich wasn't at camp that one year, but took him on the team, because he had a great first half. But I think the process is long. Obviously we've got a lot of people doing a lot of work, getting out and seeing games. It's a little more difficult for for obviously myself when we're playing. So again, you're in contact with people and certainly our staff and conference calls and just trying to, to do the best job you can as far as identifying which players you're going to, invite to this camp and then make your selections, based on some exhibition games and do the best we can to put the best team forward. So it's a long process. It's a good process. It's fun, it's good to get different thoughts and opinions from people. And, but the summer camp for me was good because we saw a lot of these guys and got to spend time with them and kind of watch them grow a little bit through the summer and tried to, implement a little bit of what kind of team we want to be and how we want to play. And obviously they go back now to their other teams. And the good thing is they're in better shape. I can tell you that, than they are in the summer, which is great. They're more in the hockey mode, which is really important. And we've got a lot of guys that are playing really well right now. So that's really exciting.
We're talking with Scott Sandelin. He will coach the U.S. under-20 team at the World Junior Championship coming up in a few weeks. And you started to mention it earlier, and goaltending is usually a big part of this tournament. You've got Spencer Knight, who's coming in very hot out of Boston College. Obviously, Isaiah Seville as well, very strong out of Nebraska Omaha. Dustin Wolf plays in the WHL for Everett. But Spencer Knight has been a guy that, seeing a lot of Hockey East, I'm seeing that, this is an elite goaltender. And in a time where when you look around college hockey, there are a lot of elite goaltenders. He seems to be standing out right now. What do you like about his game that you've seen thus far?
I really like his demeanor. He's got a great demeanor in the net. He's got a great calmness in the net. And as an ex-defenseman, I like the fact he can play the puck, but no, he's it's no secret. I mean, I think if you look at his year's first half, I think early on there was some struggles, but again, that's early in the year, and BC, was kind of getting going. And if you look at the last 9 games, they've outscored teams like 38-9. He's given up 1 goal a game. He's been a big part of it, but their team is playing obviously really well right now. I think them in North Dakota with 2 longest unbeaten streaks. So, some of those correlate as far as, him playing as well as he has and their team. And so that's good. He's coming in very confident right now. Where the other guys, Dustin Wolf had a very consistent first half. I think Isaiah had a strong start. Maybe leveled off a little bit, but a real good young goaltender too. But it's really important that you have good depth there, because we found out last year, having Kaiser and Primo and Spencer there, that you need those guys, because obviously Kaiser started great, kind of won the job, and then got sick, and then Primo came in and just played great for us. So you need really good depth there, and so that's where we feel really good, kind of led by Spencer.
When I look at your blue line, I think you mentioned size. That's a big advantage. You have a guy like Zach Jones, though, and Jordan Harris. Both are pretty crafty, undersized guys. But then you have Keandre Miller, Alec Regula, and Matthias Samuelson. Obviously, those guys are pretty big on the blue line. How do you see that mixing in? I mean, you need some crafty guys, I think, every now and again, but size can always win in some of these international tournaments. We've learned that over the years.
Yeah, I mean, Keandre and Matthias, were both on the team last year, so that they've got that experience in playing in the tournament. And even this summer, the last game against Canada, we put those 2 guys in kind of against their top line to see how that would go, and I thought they did a really good job. But I think, again, they're older guys. They both are a little different. Yes, they bring size. Obviously Keandre's got a little bit more offensive ability than Sammy. Sammy's more of a shutdown defender. But I really like both of them as far as the fact that they're older. They've been in the tournament and they've had this experience before. There's certainly 2 guys that you got to lean on, and obviously the rest of the group. I just like the mixture. I think, there's a lot of guys that are, that have played internationally. There's guys right now that are playing very well. There's guys that can, play both power play and penalty kill. I think there's mobility there, and puck moving defensemen and guys that can certainly add to the offense. But, again, we're going to need some guys that are going to be, guys that are going to be willing to play that defensive role, that shutdown role, and hopefully we'll find some of those guys through camp. And like I said, I think Sammy and Keandre are two of those guys that need to be kind of in that role.
Do you have any concern about the forward position? I mean, obviously you've got guys like Cole Caulfield, very talented, Alex Turcotte, Trevor Zegras. There's a number you could kind of point out there, but I read other people, especially the Canadian press, that kind of says that this might not be the team that can score like some of the past teams. Is there a concern about that, or is that just something that you'll attack as you get into camp?
Well, I don't think it's a concern. I think you've got some guys on there that have the ability to score, and you mentioned Cole. I mean, you got Kalia who's having a great year. You got Robertson who's having a great year. I mean, you got some guys, certainly that I think to me are really good offensive players. I think so. Again, if there's probably one, they're all ones, right? It's an older tournament. How are they going to fare? But I think the best players find a way to get it done no matter what age you're at. So I'm not overly concerned about that. I think no matter the higher levels you play, it's always hard to score. But I do think we've got enough guys there that can put the puck in the net, and certainly I think the ability to have some really good power play units that can also help that is kind of exciting.
More with World Juniors and Minnesota Duluth head coach Scott Sandelin in a moment.
This is the USCHO Spotlight, a weekly podcast from U.S. College Hockey Online.
We're talking with Scott Sandelin. He's the head coach for the U.S. 2020 World Juniors team. Coming up next Monday, you get into a couple of two-a-day practices and a scrimmage. It's a pretty compressed time schedule to get a lot done. What kind of things are you looking to achieve over those couple of days?
Well, I think number one, we've got we're going to have a little bit of a scrimmage against the U18 team on Tuesday, but we'll have a skate on Sunday. I'll be probably very short, get guys in. Some guys are going to be traveling in that day. And you're right, it's a bit compressed, but, I think it's a little bit different here once you're in the middle of hockey season versus summer. And, a lot of these guys have been at the summer camp, and you kind of understand, where we were trying to go with this group. And, we'll kind of figure it out. I think obviously we're trying to get some special teams, get that going. I think when part of that experience part of this too is having done this before too. It's really important to not really wear these kids down. It's a long tournament. You don't want to wear them down too soon. I think we've got to be very pointed with our practices as far as what we're trying to accomplish. And obviously when you get to the tournament, it's a different story because of the schedule. So, I think it'll be good to get on the ice, get going with some of that stuff. I think the scrimmage will be good. It'll help us evaluate some of the players. And now obviously we've got two more when we get over there. So, unfortunately we're going to have to make some tough decisions at certain points through the camp. And, wish we could keep everybody, but, we've got to get it down to 23, by Christmas Day.
You've got obviously very high-level players, and they've had some experience with each other, whether it was in the summer or in other situations in the past. Is there a challenge in getting that cohesion together quickly, or does that just seem to come together?
Well, I think that's always the thing with these tournaments is how quickly a team can get closer and become team. And I mean, I think we all go through that with our own teams throughout the course of the year, but this is a little bit different in the short tournament. So I think leadership plays a big part in that. We got 4 guys returning from last year's team that obviously, are going to be valuable as far as the leadership. We're still not sure on Wallstrom. So it'd be nice if we get another one that's played in this tournament too. But I think leadership plays a big part in it. And obviously, I think some of the cohesion with some of those players is good. I think the familiarity with each other is good. But it's good to have that mix too. I think it's really important to have some guys that maybe didn't play together. I think I can go back to last year's team was a good split of I think 11 program guys and 11 non-program guys, and I think that's healthy. And this year it's probably a little bit higher that way, but I think that's good. But we'll see. I think leadership plays a big part, but I can keep going back to the summer because I really liked how we finished, and I liked the things we saw. I like how our kind of group, when we got it down to the 31 there, really started to come together, and hopefully that carries over a little bit when they get together again here, and we become that team quickly.
Scotty, I just want to look at your bracket a little bit. Canada, Germany, Russia, Czech Republic are your pool play teams. And you start out with Canada, which probably feels a little bit different for the U.S. There was so many times that game was played on New Year's Eve. You don't play on New Year's Eve this year, which is probably a little bit different as well. But you start with Canada, then Germany, then Russia, then the Czechs, the host team. Just going through that bracket, it feels like a very challenging bracket to go through. But opponent-wise, does that matter too much? Or there's some rivalries in there in Canada and Russia, but does that matter too much when you're still coaching guys that are 18, 19 years old?
No, I mean, it's certainly a tough pool. I mean, I think I joked with a couple of people. I knew that pool before I said I was going to coach this group. But you know what? You're going to play great teams. I mean, that tournament, you know what? It's funny. I think, the parity is much like college hockey. I think there's some countries that have gotten really good. There's ones that have always maintained that high level. It's just the way things shake out as far as where a team's placed last year. So, you know what? It's a good measuring stick right off the bat. I mean, obviously they're going to be on a mission. They're going to have a great team again, and to start right out the gate with Canada is a lot easier to get your guys focused. I can tell you that. So I think our guys are excited about that, and the fact that they've played against some of these players too, and have had success against some of these players, before is a good thing. And but every game is critical, and every game is tough. I look at our schedule with the back-to-back games with a day off is a bit unique, for me in this tournament. That's kind of the first time I've seen that. Usually it's, you'll play 2, get a day off, play 1, get a day off, and hopefully get to the quarterfinals. And this was a little bit different this year with back-to-back games right out of the gate, and the day off, and then back-to-back games. So hopefully that can benefit us on the back end, to make quarterfinals and one of those teams.
You don't get a lot of time off, as you just kind of mentioned, but is there a cultural experience to this too, Scotty, for the players that go over there? Obviously, not a lot of these kids will ever step foot in the Czech Republic again. Can you even put an educational and cultural component to this tournament?
Well, absolutely. I kind of equate it to the Frozen Four. We talk about it all the time. I mean, I really enjoyed the experience. I think it's obviously you're going over there with the goal of winning the gold medal, and again, that's the ultimate goal. But I think going over there and being in this tournament, enjoying each other, and enjoying the experience is a big part of this. And I think that's something that I think. I know I'm going to impress upon the players that these are special opportunities, but you got to enjoy it too. And I think sometimes you can get in those situations where it becomes so businesslike and so working-like that you forget the experience, and I think you forget to enjoy it. And obviously, you want to go there and win a medal, and hopefully win a gold medal, and really have that high level experience, but it's such a great tournament to be a part of, and you do want the players to have a little bit of that too. And I think if they do that, they're going to enjoy it a little bit more. They're going to enjoy themselves a little bit more, and hopefully, ultimately that'll lead to the success we want.
Well, it is the World Junior Championship. It is the best college hockey, amateur hockey event around when you look at some of the players that play in this event every year. This year it's in the Czech Republic, but the U.S. national team opens up their training camp in Plymouth, Michigan, December 16th, 17th, and then a lot going on overseas and the travel that goes on with that, the tournament in the Czech Republic. Scott Sandelin, he's the head coach of Minnesota Duluth, but he's also leading this team. And Scotty, we wish you the best of luck. National pride obviously goes a long way for us Americans, and we hope you can bring home a medal. Best of luck in this tournament.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate you guys having me on.
Jim, Scott Sandelin is one of the best guys to talk hockey with. And one of the things that I'm really wondering about, just get your quick take on, how important is it to have a guy like Scott, who's played in the tournament back in 1984 and in 2005 was a head coach and has been an assistant along the way. And he also had time with the guys who were returning from last year. How important is it to have a guy with that breadth of experience behind the bench this year?
Well, I think it certainly helps, Ed. And the one thing that always strikes me about Scotty is how intelligent he is and how much he just understands the game. And, you can get into a situation where you have to mold a team quickly. And he's done that with his own year-long team, University of Minnesota Duluth, a number of times where they just had to scramble and pull together a team, and they've gone on to win national championships like that. They've struggled going into those tournaments, but he can pull them together. And I think that when you have that quality going into a World Junior Championship, this is a team of players you have to make come together in a span of basically 12 days. And you have to get them all playing on the same page. He has that talent as a coach to put them together, understand where matchups work, where relationships work. He finds a way to put together players and make them work together very well. I think that could make this a very successful team for the United States.
Scott Sandelin has a well-earned reputation of staying calm under fire. The more intense it gets, the calmer he seems, and you certainly see that with him on the bench. Well, that's going to do it for this week's edition of USCHO Spotlight. We have weekend review on Mondays, and later in the week, USCHO Game of the Week this week, previewing Penn State and Notre Dame. For Jim Connelly, I'm Ed Trefzger. Make sure you catch those podcasts, uscho.com/podcasts, and we'll catch you next time.
This has been the USCHO Spotlight, a production of U.S. College Hockey Online. Visit uscho.com/podcasts to listen or subscribe.